Today, we're going to be talking about two of the biggest upcoming features. Ones that have a lot of us buzzing with excitement and maybe a little anxiety. Crafting and base building. We're going to dig into the recent developer QA session where they dropped a ton of info. Plus, I'll share some of my own thoughts, but I want to hear from you guys too. Hit me up in the comments with your hot takes, burning questions, hopes, and fears about how this is all going to shake down in the verse. So, buckle up because we're about to blast off into a future where players can build anything from sprawling industrial empires to hidden pirate dens, and where the ships we fly will become extensions of our own creativity and sweat. One of the key takeaways from the QA was the developers' emphasis on making base building a central pillar of the StarCitizen experience. They wanted to touch every aspect of gameplay, whether you're a hardcore builder, a casual visitor, or even someone who just wants to mine rocks in peace. Think about it. Even if you never pick up a hammer, you'll still be interacting with player-created bases. Do you need to refine some ore? Head to a friend's specialized refinery. Are you looking for a specific component? Maybe there's a trading post stocked with player-crafted goods. Base building is going to weave itself into the fabric of the universe, creating a dynamic and ever-evolving landscape that reflects the creativity and ambitions of the player base. And speaking of creativity, get ready to unleash your inner architect. The developers are giving us a ton of options for customization, from materials and colors to the ability to connect different building modules to create truly unique structures. Do you want a sleek, high-tech fortress carved into an asteroid field? Go for it. Are you dreaming of a rustic log cabin nestled in a forest clearing? Why not? Of course, not every base will be a peaceful sanctuary. If you choose to build in the lawless regions of space like the cutthroat system of Pyro, you'd best be prepared to defend your hard work. Raids are a constant threat, and they can happen whether you're online or offline. The devs mentioned some pretty badass defensive options, including planetary shield technology that can make your base practically invincible. But even with the best defenses, building in those wild frontiers will require strategic planning and a bit of a gambler's spirit. Are you the type to risk it all for the potential rewards, or do you prefer the safety of a secure system? Let me know what you think. And to make sure that land ownership doesn't become stagnant, there's going to be a land claim system with a recurring land tax. Fail to pay your dues, and you could lose everything. This is a clever way to keep things dynamic and ensure that land is constantly changing hands, but it also adds a new layer of responsibility for base owners. Crafting in StarCitizen isn't just about slapping together some components and calling it a day. It's a fundamental shift in how we interact with resources and the universe itself. Mining, for example, is getting a serious makeover. Instead of scanning for a needle in a haystack of random materials, we'll be hunting for bespoke mineable rocks, each dedicated to a specific material. It's all about quality over quantity, and it makes the whole process feel more intentional and rewarding. Plus, different types of mining, like ship, FPS, and ground vehicle, will yield distinct materials, encouraging players to specialize and diversify their mining operations. And salvage, get ready to turn those space hulks into valuable resources. The devs plan to eventually tie salvage directly into crafting, allowing us to extract materials based on the components of the ships we dismantle. It's a brilliant way to create a closed-loop system where every ship, no matter how battered, has value beyond its scrap price. Of course, we can't have players running around with unlimited super weapons, so there will be limited-use blueprints and blueprints with cooldowns to balance things out. But don't worry, trading is still on the table. You'll be able to swap those rare blueprints you find before you download them, creating a whole new player-driven market. And here's a fun tidbit for the more entrepreneurial among us. Stolen materials can be used in crafting. Just, be careful about where you source your components. Now, let's talk about the big one, ship upgrading. This is the game changer, folks. Through crafting, we'll be able to upgrade our ships through a tiered system. Higher tiers will offer better stats and require more advanced materials, allowing us to fine-tune our vessels and tailor them to our specific needs. Imagine taking your trusty Aurora and, through time and effort, transforming it into a lean, mean fighting machine. That's the kind of progression and personalization that gets me excited. Now, here is the big questions and a few concerns. Crafting and base building are massive undertakings, and it's clear that the devs are still working through some of the finer details. One of the biggest concerns I've seen in the community, and one that I share, is the potential for offline raiding to create a toxic and unfun experience. Spending weeks building a base only to have it stripped bare while you're offline is nobody's idea of a good time. The devs mentioned defensive options and the possibility of dynamic server shards to mitigate this, but it remains to be seen how effective these solutions will be in practice. Another worry is the potential for large organizations to dominate the lawless areas and hoard resources. This could create an uneven playing field and discourage smaller groups or solo players from venturing into those areas. The devs need to carefully balance the power dynamics to ensure a fair and enjoyable experience for everyone. And speaking of balance, how will ship upgrading affect PvP? Will solo players stand a chance against organizations with access to higher-tier crafting resources? These are questions that the devs will need to address as we get closer to release. Crafting and base building are ambitious additions to an already ambitious game, and there's no doubt they'll face challenges along the way. But I, for one, am incredibly excited about the potential these features hold. They promise to transform StarCitizen into a more immersive, dynamic, and player-driven universe where our actions have a tangible impact on the world around us. They give us the tools to build our own stories, create our own economies, and forge our own destinies among the stars. So, hit me with your thoughts. Are you ready to build the verse, brick by brick? Let's start a conversation in the comments.